Mr. Mondani, also confronting Donald Trump, made huge hay as part of his endgame message about Trump's basic support for Andrew Cuomo. And Mondani is not afraid of Donald Trump. Impressive, just as a political gladiator, standing up to Donald Trump. And he took him on election night in his very pugnacious remarks. Here's a bit of what he said about Donald Trump in his victory speech. S12, please.
So, Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
Now, the president was watching, according to the White House, and he's been talking in interviews and other comments about Mondani since Election Day. What's been fascinating to me is while both of them have said things that are pretty confrontational, they both have also had moments of calm and graciousness about the other one. Pretty surprising in the context of, again, the currency in the party now. But Mondani must know and should know that he's going to need Trump. Trump's threatening to cut off aid of all sorts to New York City. But it's also, in the context of doing the big job he's about to do, being at daily war with Donald Trump may not seem ideal to him. So listen to a little bit. Election night is very confrontational. Here he is being less confrontational. This is Mondani speaking not Election Day, but the day after. This is S14, please.
Tools that have been proven to protect those same New Yorkers. And I will not mince my words when it comes to President Trump. I will continue to describe his actions as they are, and I will also always do so while leaving a door open to have that conversation, because it cannot be understood as if it is an argument between 2 individuals. I am looking to lead this entire city, and everything that I do must be to the benefit of this city, and I look forward to delivering for that same city.
So that's pretty conciliatory, right? It's pretty conciliatory. Now, Trump also has been hot and cold. Sometimes he's been conciliatory and sometimes less so. Here he is reaching out a bit in interview with Bret Baier. Well, I should say, in this soundbite, he's reaching out maybe a tiny bit. Bret is asking him, should you call Mondani? Should maybe congratulate him, maybe reach out. That's something a president might do under some circumstances. Trump, maybe halfway. Listen to this. This is S1, please.
Did you see reaching out to him?
I would say he should reach out to us, really. I think he should reach out. Right. I'm here. We'll see what happens, but I would think that it would be more appropriate for him to reach out to us.
Now, he didn't say, when Bret says, should you reach out to him, he didn't say, would I call a communist? Would I call someone who's going to destroy the city? He didn't. So I consider that to be pretty conciliatory. And then another moment, the president, since Election Day, said he hopes the city succeeds. And he said, no, maybe I don't care if Mondani succeeds, but I want the city to succeed. I am fascinated about where this is going. It's going to be no doubt that unless Mondani is a huge success right off the bat, and maybe he will be, I hope he is for the sake of the city, you're going to hear Democrats, or Republicans rather, including the president and his team, refer to him as a communist and as ruining the city. But at the same time, just as Mondani needs Trump, he needs federal aid, and he needs not to be at war with the president on a daily basis. Trump cares a lot about New York City. In part because he's from here and he's got pride in the city and would hate to see the city ruined. But he also has a lot of financial interests here, and he has a lot of financial interests amongst his friends in New York City. They own real estate, they own businesses, they send their kids to school here. Trump doesn't want New York to fail, even if there'd be a political gain there. And he knows that you got to make accommodations. I know Trump well enough to know that he'd like there to be a good outcome. Mamdani is a mystery to me. And as I said in the beginning, I know people who are terrified of him. They don't just think he's going to be a bad mayor. They're terrified of him. Some of it's about Israel and about Jews, but some of it is socialism. And I think Trump wants to see what happens. Trump loves a great story. Trump loves interesting human arcs. And this is a great story. It's a great story for journalists. And in that sense, Trump has a sensibility of a journalist. Like, how's this guy going to do? How's he going to govern? How much social media is he going to do? Who's he going to hire? What kind of presence will he be in the city? What will he do on national security issues, which is a huge billion-dollar budget in this city? Trump and Mamdani are on a path to something. They're going to have a relationship. I think after watching it from election night forward, despite harsh words from both men, I'm focused more on the conciliatory language. I'm focused more on the reality that Trump, despite what he said, and during the end of the election, he's got a stake. He's got a stake in Mondani being a successful mayor. And Mondani, despite his confrontation with Trump throughout the campaign and on election night, he's got a stake in getting help from the federal government. And although both these guys now will be in elective office, neither of them is a career politician. Neither of them behaves in a way a normal politician would. But both of them now have a stake in a good relationship. They have a motivation to have a working relationship. They also have a motivation to use the other one as a foil. For Mondani, the energy in the Democratic Party, as we said last block, is about confronting Trump. For Trump, having the ability to say, forget everything that happened in the 2025 election, just focus on the fact that the face of the Democratic Party is about being a communist, right? So it's a paradox. They both have a stake in demonizing the other one. They both have a clear political advantage in demonizing the other one. And yet they both have a stake in getting along. They both have a stake in that. And I talked to a bunch of people around both men about this. And it's interesting because some people see both needs, but a lot of the people I talked to said, oh no, it's all about confrontation. And it wasn't necessarily that they were the ideological ones. They just think the confrontation side of the ledger for both men is so much more important, so much more valuable. Trump always needs a villain. Trump always needs a foe. He always needs some sort of a person to play off of. And for Mondani, he needs to be the resistance. He needs to have the energy that he harnessed during the campaign. So maybe those folks will be right. But I also talk to folks who inform my view, and as do their public statements. They have a stake. They have an incentive to get along as well. Now, Trump doesn't live here, but he comes here. The orchestration of their first meeting, my spidey sense says, no one's told me this, my spidey sense says their first meeting could happen sooner than we think, and that first meeting could be conciliatory. Trump respects game. Trump respects people who succeed. And take away Mondami's rhetoric about Trump, take away his left positions, take away his inexperience as a negative. What a story. Just as a journalist, as I said, what a story that this guy is now going to be the mayor of New York City, when not that long ago, I hadn't heard of him. I cover politics for a living. I hadn't heard of him. Wasn't taken seriously in the primary, becomes a Democratic nominee, and then the billionaires line up against him. The political establishment lines up against him. Chuck Schumer never endorsed him. Hakeem Jeffries endorsed him at the end. The two top Democratic leaders in Congress, both who live in New York City. And against all of that, he confidently won this race going away. Now, Jamie Dimon, head of JP Morgan Chase, one of the biggest, iconic business leaders in the country, he's said very conciliatory things since Election Day. He does want to help Mondani succeed. Jamie Dimon just built a giant new office here in Manhattan. He's got thousands of employees in Manhattan. He doesn't want New York City to be hollowed out. Same with Bill Ackman, the billionaire investor who was as vocal about stopping Mondani as anybody during the primary and then the general. Same thing. He went on Twitter and said, hey, let's try to get together. Those who worry that Mondani is going to ruin New York or worry that he's going to, be a divisive force, they may be right. I wish I could say I know they won't, but they may be right. But watching how Trump treats him, particularly if he has success, and remember, politics is not a game. It's about governing. The guy takes office New Year's Day. That's when New York City mayors start their jobs. He takes office on New Year's Day. How's he going to do? How's he going to do when he's actually governing? How is he going to hire the best people? How is he going to keep the city safe? What happens when there's a first snowstorm, the first big crime that's committed? What if there's some big attack on New York City? Getting a budget, all these things. If he governs well and he's making the real lives of real people in New York City better, even if his policies are to the far left, I'll be curious to see how Donald Trump handles that, because Trump, as I said, he wants the city to succeed. He doesn't want his real estate, his friends' real estate, businesses, investments of all sorts. He doesn't want that to go down the drain. And to a large extent, that's now about Mondani. So foils for sure, sparring partners for sure. No doubt that particularly on things like immigration, emotions will be raw. They'll both continue to be positive and negative memes about both men on social media. So if they want to get along, there's a lot of standing in the way, but they do have an incentive to get along. It's going to be fascinating to watch. And I'll be curious to see how much Mondani stays as a national story after, this week. He's in a transition. He'll be hiring people. There'll be announcements. But let's be honest, as important as New York City is, that's a local story. And Trump has other things to worry about. And here's the real rub. And this came to me from someone who is a longtime political advisor to President Trump. What is the president's team's message this week? Affordability, right? We got to talk more about affordability. Our candidates did poorly on election day because they didn't talk about affordability, and Mondani did, as well as the Democratic candidates for governor in New Jersey and Virginia. So if Trump's going to start talking about affordability and Mondani will continue to talk about it and start to institute policies, well, it's going to be an interesting battle, right? It's going to be an interesting side-by-side comparison when they're talking about it, because there's some things they'd agree on. Certainly about what the problems are, right? They'd agree. Real estate's too expensive to buy a home, rent a home. There's still issues related to education, right? People, and they both know, Mondani talks about it more openly than Trump, they have to address this. They got to find a way to address this. This is what's on voters' minds. The exit polls were clear. This is what's on voters' minds. And so I'm looking forward to see, could we have a competition of ideas? Could we even have some agreements? If Mondani comes up with an idea that works, might Trump help him institute it in New York? Might Trump borrow it, right? Because right now, Mondani has solved for his electorate, New York City liberal electorate, Democratic electorate, what Trump is trying to solve for his own electorate, the whole country, which is associate me with a relentless desire to help you afford things. That's why Mondani won above all else. He's associated with a relentless desire to use government to help people afford things. That's Trump's current mission. And Trump, as a student of everything and a student of success, you can bet he'll be watching. How does Mondani go from talking about it to actually doing it? And if he succeeds, you can bet Trump will notice. And as I said, maybe steal some of his ideas. All right, that's what I think about those two guys. Here's a tough question for you. Are you being lied to? They tell you should max out to your 401k and your IRA, and then they make you beg for permission to use your own money. It's time to get the truth and discover a better way to grow and protect your money. Bank on Yourself is the proven retirement plan alternative to banks and Wall Street desperately hope you never hear about. It gives you guaranteed growth and tax-free retirement income. Your plan stays protected even when there's a market drop. You're in control with access to your money anytime for emergencies or opportunities that come along. There are no penalties or restrictions. And even when you use your money, it keeps growing like you never touched it. Plus, with built-in inflation protection, your savings grow by a larger dollar amount every year. It's real financial security, real peace of mind with a retirement plan that works for you. You can get a free report that reveals how you can bank on yourself and enjoy tax-free retirement income, guaranteed growth, and control of your money. Just go to bankonyourself.com/Mark. That's bankonyourself.com/Mark. Get your free report. Again, bankonyourself.com/Mark. Try it now, bankonyourself.com/Mark.